founder of the For You movement, and today we're just gonna talk about her story and like her worth in Christ and stuff. And in the video, I'll leave y'all with all her details so y'all can get connected. You know.
Yes.
So let's just jump right in.
Okay.
So how did you come to know God?
Well, I actually grew up in church, so all I knew growing up was church.
Yeah.
I was that kid who was always in vacation Bible school, Sunday school, children's choir, usher board, hospitality committee, youth nights on Mondays. I was always just involved in church praise team, and I enjoyed it. I wasn't forced to go or anything like that. I just really enjoyed going to church and being there. Like sometimes I was in church maybe 2-3 times a week because of different stuff. So. That's how I was just always in church.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how my life went.
So do you think like being in church is that like, I mean, yeah, that's how you know God, because I'm like the same. I grew up in church my whole entire life. I was there like every day of the week.
Right.
Like, so do you think that's how you built your relationship with God, or was that kind of just like later on?
Later on, I mean, because my church, like I love my home church to death, but it's very stuck in like 1960s Baptist mindset, very strict and rigid. So I didn't necessarily grow in the word there, but it laid a foundation for me having a relationship with Christ. I didn't really come to know Christ and like build up my spirit until I got to college, because one of my main goals going to school was, I'm really gonna begin to grow my relationship with Christ, because I didn't really feel like I quite learned stuff growing up. Like a lot of it went over my head, or when I would leave church, I wouldn't be impacted by the word or anything like that. That didn't start until I got to college and began seeking out places, because like my church, that was like my family's church. We just always went there. So I didn't necessarily have a choice, but going to college, I had a choice of where to go, what environments fit me best. And once I got to school, and the churches in North Carolina were just so different. I'm from a small town in Pennsylvania. So many of the churches are all, a lot of Baptist churches, old churches, been around like 100 or so years, and that's kind of how it is. But I learned, like, with going to school, I'm more of a, just a Christian church. Like, doesn't necessarily have to be Baptist or anything like that. But, like, they play like CCM and, have the lights, and the pastor's just really chill and stuff like that has kind of been more so me being pulled to. So going to school and just being involved in different things, such as the Christian Mentoring Association, and then one of the churches I would attend, they had like college ministry, so doing stuff with them, and that's kind of how I started to learn the word, and going from the milk to the meat, and that started in college.
I think that's like how it is for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's like once you have that freedom, you can kind of choose what fits you more.
Right. Nothing against the traditional.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm like, even the church, like I go to Higher Dimension here, and Higher Dimension and the church I went to in North Carolina, World Overcomers, are very similar. Similar music, similar, preaching styles, and like stuff like that. It's kind of more my fit than like traditional.
Right. Yeah. It's so important to find your niche and what you really deal with and stuff. So would you say that growing up, was your worth always placed in God, or what would you identify your worth being placed in before, coming to Christ?
I would like to say it was in God, because I always knew I was different, and I always wanted to be like that church girl. I knew it was different, but looking back, I was defining my worth in my extracurricular activities. I was super involved in stuff. My grades was a huge thing. I found my worth in satisfaction in getting good grades and being involved. In high school, I was class president, and I was voted most involved one year, most likely to succeed one year. That was just, I found my worth in accomplishments and success. I felt that's what defined me, and people knew me as the smart girl, or the one who was super involved, the one who stood her ground, the one who was active. That's how I kind of found my worth in stuff. Of course my parents and everyone, they were hard on me, but I was more hard on myself than what they were on me. I put all the pressure on myself to be a perfectionist in everything I did. So I definitely found my worth in those things, then, like you said, college.
Yeah.
After about the first year or so, I was kind of like, yeah, I was still making good grades, but I wasn't as like stressing myself out about it. I was kind of just like, you know, I'm here in college, I'm doing well, I'm gonna graduate. Like, I don't have to, because I was beginning to suffer from anxiety attacks, which I never had. I always kind of suffered with depression since like 8th grade, but anxiety I never had. And once I got to college and I was still trying to do the same things that I did in high school and college, and it just wasn't working, I was starting to have anxiety attacks, and that's when I kind of realized, like, your grades and stuff don't define you. Like, this degree isn't going to define you. So I kind of had to take a step back and realize that.
Yeah. I can definitely relate to that, because that's how it was for me. Man, my sophomore year was like a mess.
Yeah.
So I was like, listen, God, this is not working. Like, my emotions cannot be up and down.
Right. You can't get a bad, like, I failed a math test or whatever, and I'm just going home and just bawling my eyes out, because I was like, I don't fail tests and stuff. I was like, that's not me. But I mean, I still graduated. Yeah. Like, that math test, like, didn't define me. Like, I'm not in school anymore. But yeah.
Yeah. So do you think, like, I guess going through that, was that like a stepping stone to getting closer to God, or how do you think, you did touch on it, like, you just found a church that, you know, like, fit you better.
Right.
Would those be the avenues that kind of led you closer to your
I would say that definitely did. And also, of course, like, you know, we're women, so we all have to struggle with guys. Yeah. And so I was always that girl. Like, I had my first boyfriend when I was like 18. I never really felt like I was, not necessarily like pretty enough, because it's like I didn't get into like wearing makeup and weaves and stuff like that till way later. So guys with me, because I love sports, like I'm a football fanatic, so guys were always my friend. And a lot of the guys that I had like liked at some point were just like my friend. They saw me as like a sister or like another guy or stuff like that. And so going into college, I was like, well, you know, like, I want guys to actually like me and stuff, and not just be my friend and stuff. So a lot of times, like, I would get bored, and I would, like, someone would be interested, and I knew I really wasn't interested in them, but I would talk to them just because, like, I was bored. And just to have someone to talk to take up some time, you know, to show myself that, okay, people actually do want you. They are interested in you and stuff. So stuff like that definitely pulled me closer, because I was realizing, like, I was defining my worth in guys, and, you know, the money to talk to me and stuff like that. So just hitting a lot of, like, low points and trying to define myself by, like I said, the stuff I was involved in my grades and in guys, everything but Christ. Who he was telling me I was, who he was calling me to be. And at the same time, like, I knew I had ministry calling on my life since I was a kid. Like, people always prophesied over me. And I mean, at the time I didn't know that's what it was. They were just always saying, like, you know, like, Kiarra, you're gonna be in ministry, like, you're gonna be with a man in ministry and blah blah. And I thought ministry meant, you know, like, pastor. And I was like, I'm not gonna be a pastor. But now I know, like, ministry is various different things. Like, this is a ministry right here, and like my blogging is ministry and like stuff like that. So I was just like, well, you know, I finally accepted that, but I didn't accept that until I just graduated college. So all through college, I was just kind of in a lukewarm state of mind. Like, I wanted to be so in church and so in Christ, but I wanted to be so accepted in college. So I was the one, like, I would go out and then I would be in church the next morning, or my mouth was terrible. I had a horrible mouth. It's so sad, because when I would get around my family and my mom and I would never. So I was like, you can turn it off that quick. And then you get back with your friends and it's just like, boom. So I was just in a very lukewarm state of mind, but my number one goal going to college was to push further in Christ and to be that person. But it took me straying away and doing all these different things for that goal to happen. That's not how I wanted it to happen. I just wanted to join a church and get involved, get active. I didn't want to have my heart broken and be partying and hardly having any clothes on and being super depressed and stuff. But that's what it took. So, I mean, I accepted it. I mean, that's what I had to do.
So now that you know that your worth is in God and Christ, how would you define that? Like, what does that look like to you now?
Which is funny, because that's the basis of the For You movement. So I define my worth in Christ by being, you know, unwavering in my faith, you know, unchanging. Like, no one's gonna change how I feel. You know, I'm unapologetic I'm me, like take it or leave it, and I'm unashamed for Christ. And so I just simply walking in who He's called you to be. It may get stressful at times, but it's so much more worth it than, you know, anything or any other person you try to be. So for me, just being unapologetic, it's so funny because people will always say, at least like the past couple years, that Kiarra is who she is and she doesn't care who she is. Because I don't. But I took that of people, you know, saying that, Kiarra, you are who you are. Because I don't necessarily fit a mold, and I kind of like to do my own thing and be my own person. And some people, it kind of rubs some people the wrong way. I guess because I'm kind of like a little quirky and stuff like that. And I like what I like, and I'm super passionate about stuff. When I like something, I like it, and you'll know. So kind of people would take that as, you know, like, oh, Kiarra just is who she is. She's unchanging. Like, you can't. She's just always going to be who she is. And so when I really surrendered my life to Christ back in May, I took that and ran with it and started using and calling myself unapologetically Key. Like, I just am who I am. You either take it or you leave it. God made me this way. I'm going to be different. Because I've always felt I was different. I never fit a group of people. Like, I never had, for as popular, I guess the word you can say I was in high school and college, because of how much stuff I was involved in and stuff, I never really had a niche of friends. Like, I'd see people, friend groups who've been together for years, and I felt like I never really had that because I just fit in so many different things. So that kind of felt, you know, I was like, where do I fit? Where do I belong? So then at that point, I'm just like, you know, I'm just me. I do have the power and privilege of being able to fit in so many different circles, but I'm just going to be me. I was like, you either take it or you leave it, and that's how I started over the summer with Unapologetically Key. So I was just putting that on like all my Instagram posts, like I am who I am, take it or leave it. It's so funny because that came from not necessarily a negative place, but it came from a place that wasn't quite great, and I took that and ran with it and made it something positive. And so I'm just like, I am who I am, and I am who God called me to be. Like, we look at Jesus is who He is, and when He was here on earth in His ministry, He was who He was. Like, He didn't change for anyone. He was still able to connect with so many different people just simply being Him. And so I try to do that with everything I am. I still try to connect with so many different people, but simply just still being me. Like, I'm still that girl who, I'm an introvert. Like, I would much rather just be at home watching Netflix every day. My grandma is such an extrovert, and she's like, why are you always in the house? And I'm like, because I like
being in the house.
I like being in the house. Like, she's like, you're too young. I just like being in the house. So I'm just being who I am and not trying to people please anymore. So Jesus was here to serve, and He's here to serve us, but He wasn't a people pleaser. He didn't change Himself to be anyone that anyone wanted Him to be. He was who He was, He is who He is, and that's how I try to be too.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful place to be when you know, like, this is how God's made me. I'm not changing. Like, you know, like, this is it.
Like, someone put in a group meet, one of our group meets yesterday, Bree did about, you know, people can't go where you're going. Like, sometimes family, like, the enemy will use the people closest to you to, you know, try to defeat you the hardest, because he knows that you listen to them and you care. So with this journey that I'm on of truly living for Christ and no longer being lukewarm and, you know, really doing what He's called me to do, it may not make sense to other people, but it's not supposed to. If He wanted everyone else to know, He would have told them. Sometimes He tells you things and someone else close to you, and people won't understand, and they'll try to, you know, talk down about it or try to convince you not to, and you really got to see through that spiritually. You really got to see through that, because most of the time it's not them. They think it's them because they're just worried about you and stuff, but it's really not them. So I've just been going through that the past couple months of really standing firm and bold in what God has called me to do, and it may not look right to people on the outside, but I know I'm listening and following His voice. He doesn't operate in the timing that we do. He doesn't operate in things that we think is logically right. He operates in Him. So I'm just trying to stand bold and, you know, unapologetic in that, and not try to have to prove myself or explain anything, because I don't owe anyone anything. I'm just listening to my Father. So that's pretty much where I am right now.
That's so great, honestly.
Thank you.
So how has knowing your self-worth affected how you see yourself and how you respond to certain situations that you may face now?
It definitely helps me to stand back and just calm down because I'm like a firecracker. Yeah. Like I'm a northern girl. I'm from outside of Philadelphia, East Coast. Like we don't play, we don't play that stuff. And so it's like really stepping back and just calming down because I used to be boom, 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 boom when I didn't like something or someone rubbed me the wrong way. I was quick to just go off. And now it's kind of like I can't do that. Right. Like. And even with these platforms we have, like people are watching you. Yeah. So it's like, and people know you're so bold for Christ, and they're just waiting for you to make that one slip up, curse that person out, do this, do that. They're just waiting. And so I kind of just always remind myself, like, I don't have to lash out and be that person. I can be calm. Yeah. I'm leaning more on praying when something's not really going my way, or I'm having a scuffle or something with someone. I instantly just go and pray and ask God for peace of mind. Ask him to show me what he needs me to learn through this, what I need to do, because we're not always in the right, we're in the wrong sometimes too. So it's just, show me how I need to react and really just leaning on and depending on him more. And like I said, just knowing who I am and who he's created me to be and called me to be. So it's just like leaning on him for everything and not operating out of my flesh because I'm so quick to just lash out. And a lot of times I didn't even realize that until I got here. Like moving to Houston has showed me a lot about myself that I just didn't know. And I think that was my purpose of moving here, to separate me from what I knew and my comfort and really just putting me in a position of being with Jesus and not really having anyone else to be around because it's really showed me a lot about myself and the stuff I need to work on. And how he's trying to grow me, and it's been very uncomfortable. But I mean, I count this season as all joy because if I was still in North Carolina for you, probably wouldn't have been created, or because he told me about it in North Carolina, but I wasn't supposed to launch it until I was here in Texas, and I didn't really know why. But I know he definitely took this season to grow me, to prune me, to get me alone, and really go through the steps of getting me prepared for ministry and stuff like that. It's been hard, but I do definitely count this season as joy because I've really learned who I am while being here.
Yeah, that's definitely great. So my last question to you is like, what advice would you give maybe girls that are going through what you've been through, of maybe just finding their worth in school and in relationships where they know they're not supposed to like be in and things like that?
I would definitely tell them to first sit back and write, like who are you? Like really dissect personally, not tune out the noise of who people say you are. Who are you? Who do you think you are? Because I had a problem of, I was like, I don't really know who I am. Because for one, I hate talking about myself. So that the added barrier of not really knowing me, but knowing the stuff I was defined by, it was rough. So I had to take away the scales. Who am I? What am I battling with? What am I dealing with? What do I like about myself? What do I not like about myself? And just really, fine tuning of who you are. Talking to someone you trust helps you to, unpack a lot of stuff. And knowing that you're not defined by who people say you are. You're not defined by the world. You're defined by your Father, the one who created you. Exactly. You're his child. Who does he say you are? That was a big thing for me of really just finding who God says I was. I'm finding scriptures that tell me, like, I'm of a royal priesthood. I'm of a chosen generation. Like, he knew me before I was in my mother's womb. He created me for such a time as this. Like, just finding in the word who I am and just allowing him to use people to come into my life who were edifying me and, letting go of friendships that weren't doing anything for me. And I'm still in the process. I think I'm in the process of that now. I mean, I'm not necessarily doing or cutting people off, but I'm just seeing it's a transitional phase in my life where these people are coming in that are really helping me in this next phase, and people who I love still, but they're like going out. And so just allowing God to define me and to lead my life and to shape my life has really helped me. And just like I said, girls, just knowing you're not who that boy says you are. You're not who. Unfortunately, you're not who your mom says you are. Like, you're not with that grade, school, anything. You're only who Christ says you are. So spend that time in his presence and in his face and journal to him, and he'll show you. He has so much he wants to show us and tell us. We just have to take the time to listen.
Wow, that is such great advice.
Thank
Just
you.
find your worth in the Bible and like what God says you are and who He says you are. That's super important. So thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me.
Of course, your testimony is so amazing, and
Thank
just
you.
Finding your worth in Christ and just knowing it's not in school or boys or the activities you're in and stuff. So if our viewers want to connect with you, how can they do that?
So I have personal social media as well as for you social media. So my personal social media is at Prez PREZ _ KIKI. Prez Kiki on Instagram and Twitter. I tweet about sports. I tweet about TV shows because I'm a sucker for a good TV show. I tweet about Jesus. Just all that every day.
Life.
And then so that's Twitter and Instagram. And then for you, the Instagram is at the For You Movement. In there I post daily scriptures. Right now we're in the middle of the New Year prayer challenge, so I'm posting the topics for that. Also like whether we're gonna like meet and greet, just daily encouragement, stuff like that. And then the Twitter is at _ the For You Movement, which pretty much just says the same thing. So I'm on both of those, and then my website where you can find blogs, devotionals, all that stuff. We're gonna be opening the For You Movement store pretty soon, which will have For You t-shirts and journals. That'll be very soon as well. It's unapologeticallyKey.wordpress.com. So I'm on all those different websites and stuff that people can connect and read stuff. I think my blogs are okay, but people seem to really like them. And I'm just letting God use me because I'm just like, I don't even want to say this, but okay, Jesus, keep typing. But yeah, and the devotionals really have helped a lot of people to, begin to just study. So if you guys just, want some blogs, some devotionals, some tweets and stuff, follow me.
Hit your girl up.
Yes.
Her stuff is great, honestly. She's really humble right now. Her stuff is really good. So I'll leave all those links and handles in the description box below so y'all can check her out. As always, thank you guys for watching my channel. I hope this video encouraged you to just have a relationship with God and just know that your worth is in Him and not in anything else. If you guys have any questions you want answered, don't forget to email me at godiswithinher1@gmail.com. You can comment down below if you guys relate to Kiarra in any way with her testimony. I'm sure she'd love to hear about it.
Definitely.
So I'll see you guys in my next video and have a great day.
Bye.
Stay blessed, guys. Bye.